Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. Coming up, we visit a pole fitness centre in Hull to find out why it's good for you. And we also visit a men's shed in the city. And my guest tonight is Angela Tubb, who has just written a book about her life as a teenage bride in Pakistan. Welcome to Estuary News. I'm Emma Lingard. Now it's time for the news headlines.
Job figures across the country show today that unemployment has risen nationwide. In our region, it's dropped to 170,000. 75% of those in our region are in employment, which pretty much matches the national average. Dave Walkington is from the Grimsby Job Centre and he explains the increase.
And I suppose locally in this area, we've had some, we've got a lot of food manufacturing. They've had some good contracts come in that's created opportunities. Obviously the renewables is coming to the area. Still maybe some early doors with that yet, but potentially that will generate good opportunities as well.
Humberside Police are after information after a suspected arson attack in Hull. It started between 8:45 and 9 p.m. last night on Lime Street in the city. It's believed the offender may have approached a shed on the compound before starting the fire and then leaving via the riverbank. The fire was spotted by a passing police patrol at 9:20. No one has been hurt, but there has been extensive damage to the site. Anyone with any kind of information is asked to contact Humberside Police on the non-emergency number 101. A cyclist has suffered life-threatening injuries in Grimsby. The man, 48, from Immingham, has been taken to Hull Royal Infirmary and remains in a critical condition. The collision happened with a grey Fiat Punto near the junction with Queensway at around 5 p.m. on Tuesday. Again, anyone with information is asked to call 101. A new housing development designed for elderly people has officially opened in Grimsby. The Strand Court development cost £8 million to build and provides 60 flats to assist elderly people in independent living in specially designed flats with other facilities like restaurants shared by all tenants. Christine Foreman of the Community Forum emphasised the importance of independent living.
Well, it's very important because they maintain their dignity and it gives them a reason to keep going, a reason to live. As I said earlier, it gives them hope, something to live for tomorrow, to get up for. And there's so many facilities here that each day is different.
That's all the news for now, and I'll be back with more soon. If you have a story for us, then please give us a call on Grimsby 01472 31553. Bye for now.
Now, when people think of pole dancing, they often think of lap dancing clubs and the sex industry. But the rise of pole fitness is aiming to counteract that image. While the sport has only recently become more mainstream, the Pole for Fitness studio in Hull has been open for over a decade. So we went along to learn more about pole fitness and how attitudes to it have changed.
Pole fitness is a sport that's gaining increasing popularity, with world championships taking place every year and aspirations of becoming an Olympic sport. In Hull, however, this is far from a recent trend, as Claire Bennett opened her pole fitness studio over a decade ago.
One of the probably England's first purpose-built studios. I started off with a couple of poles in the gym, and within 6 weeks we had 4 up, and within 6 months we were able to open a studio up and do it full time. And in the early days I employed 2 staff as well as myself, and very quickly it became like the thing to do. Everybody wanted to come pole dancing. The
success hasn't always been easy to come by. Despite pole fitness focusing on skilled exercise, many people still confuse it with pole or lap dancing. In turn, this has led to pole fitness being associated with sleaze and the sex industry, something which Claire says has become clearer but still needs to be emphasised.
In the early days it was very difficult because what people wanted to do is they wanted to come pole dancing, but there was still that is it a bit seedy, is it linked to the sex industry? And what would happen is people would come and they'd hide on the corner and they wouldn't tell their friends, and then when I opened the door to go into the studio they'd come running in quick so nobody saw them. And that's really hard to promote a business when people don't want to tell people that they're coming. And they used to have friends that would come and then their friends would go out the back door while they came in the front door because they didn't want anybody to know. So in the early days, it was quite difficult to sort of get through to people that what we were doing was a legitimate form of exercise. But now the industry's moved on so much, everybody understands that pole dancing and what happens in, say, a lap dancing club is totally different. And we empower women and men now as well through strength, flexibility and improving self-esteem and confidence.
The stigma is continuing to disappear, partly spurred on by more men beginning to take up the sport.
There are now quite a few men in the industry who are very good at what they do, and they're leaders in the industry as well. There are a few men out there who are like leading the way to show the men what to do. There's still the stigma that it's for ladies only, that will always probably take a long time for that to disappear. Because it's a very feminine style of dance in some of them as well. But what you've found is with the influence from, say, Chinese pole and a lot of the circus stuff now, some of the tricks are becoming very much more strength-based, and some of the tricks only the men can do, or very, very strong. Very few of the women can actually get those tricks out.
Claire says it's easy to knock something like pole fitness, but it's important not to knock it until you try it.
I think just come and try it. I think you don't know if it's for you until you get here. And I've got lots of people who, in the early days, came in really definitely not thinking that they ever wanted to do this. And suddenly, they're 5 years down the line, 6 years down the line, they're doing amazing things. They're doing competitions, they're doing shows, and they've made new friends, and it's become a part of their life that they never dreamt would be there for them.
And that's something for us all to try. Well, if you've got a story you'd like us to look into, then you can contact the news team either through the Facebook or Twitter pages, or email news@estuary.tv, or call 01472 315 553. So do let us know what's happening in your area. Well, still to come tonight, we visit a men's shed network in Hull, and we'll have the latest in the local sports news. Now, my next guest has led a very colourful life. As a teenager in the 1960s, she left England for a new life in Pakistan, all for love. And she's now written about her elopement in a book called The Golden Cage. Angela Tubb now lives in Lincolnshire, and she joins me now. Welcome to the studio, Angela. We've got the book here, The Golden Cage. Now, you were born in Sunderland, but you grew up in York, left school at 15. How did you actually meet your first husband then? What got you to Pakistan?
Well, it was a by chance meeting, and he asked me if I would be his pen friend.
Okay.
And I liked writing. I had several pen friends around the world. And so I thought, well, yes, he's in England. It wouldn't be so much money on postage. And so I agreed to be his pen friend. And we got to know each other through our letters.
Mm-hmm. And then the next stage for you was obviously he asked you to marry him, and your family gave consent.
They didn't actually give consent. They didn't object to the marriage. The only thing they objected to was my age.
Okay,
and they just felt I was far too young.
Yeah, yeah. But you lived in Pakistan, didn't you, from 1961 to 1983, was it?
62 I went out there.
You went out there. Was it a culture shock? Because as you say, you were young at the end of the day, and it must have been a big culture shock, and for the language barriers to start with.
Well, yes, at first, when I went, I thought they were all fighting among themselves because you don't know the language, and they're all talking together, and obviously we must sound the same when foreigners come over here. So I just kept quiet and just watched everything. My mother-in-law was there, and she was very, very kind, very caring, and she sort of looked after me for the first few months.
Yeah. I mean, how was that marriage received? Because was mixed marriage frowned upon at all? Or were you accepted into the family?
I was accepted, but there wasn't many around. There was maybe 2 or 3 other couples in Dhaka, and that was it.
Okay. And you obviously lived out there, you had a family. What was life like living there? Because your husband you both set up a business, didn't you, while you were there?
Yeah, yes, we did. Life was very good. Life was good. We socialised quite a lot. We had lots of friends. I had the children, so I had the family interest. I was involved with the business, so I was kept busy doing that. And I like doing craft work, so whenever I wanted a quiet time, I would get on with my knitting or my sewing or something like that.
Yeah, Yeah. And you, obviously you had, how many children did you have?
I had 4.
Okay. And obviously living out there in Pakistan, you saw many political changes and things happen. Did that have an effect on you at all? Or did you?
I don't think it really did, because when I went out there, the country was under martial law.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what it meant. And I was just told the rules and regulations, and I abided by them.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't get involved with anything political until perhaps a little bit later on.
Okay. Well, we're going to stop you there, but we're going to continue this conversation after the break, because it certainly is a very interesting read, and I'm sure it probably brought a lot of trauma to you when you've had to revisit this. So we'll continue talking to you shortly. So join me after the break when I will continue to talk to Angela about her life in Pakistan. But we'll also venture into the shed to find out how men in Hull are being helped by them. And we'll bring you all the latest in the local sports news and results. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come. We go to Hull and meet the men benefiting from the men's shed. And we'll have the latest in local sports news and results. Still with me in the studio is Angela Tubb, talking about her life, which she has recently put into a book. Now, Angela, we were just talking there before the break, a brief bit about how you ended up in Pakistan and the family that you had. Now, without giving too much away, because at the end of the day, you know, you've written the book because you want people to buy it, but what brought you back to England in the 80s?
Well, if you read the book, you'll realise that my life there had come to a standstill. And so I decided that, as I'd always kept my British passport and I was English and I had my parents still here and my brother, I felt it was better for me to come home.
Okay, and people obviously can read about that. Why did you decide to write the book now?
Well, I've been requested to write the book by many, many people, and when I've given talks to ladies groups, sometimes they've asked me, have you got a book? And I never felt that I was capable of writing a book. And finally my husband said to me that if you don't do it now, you'll never do it, and he would like me to write my experience down if it was just for the family. So originally we started off just writing little things down and putting it in a folder. But it seemed to get thicker and thicker, and then I think we realised that possibly there was a book.
Yeah.
And so then I started looking for a publisher.
Right, okay. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, it must have been traumatic to sometimes revisit parts of your life that you hadn't probably visited for a long time. Because you came back to England, you've remarried since, obviously, haven't you? Did you find it traumatic?
Yes, and the only way that I could survive was actually putting certain things into a box and fixing the lid and not opening the lid, not even for a peek. And so I just kept that tight shut.
Yeah.
But now I feel liberated because I've actually opened the box and this is my story.
And it is a wonderful story. I mean, I've had a quick flick through and it is a wonderful story. And you're doing a book signing, aren't you, on the 26th of this month at Market Raisin Library. And obviously it has been sold in various local bookshops. If people want to get in touch, we can let people know. If you were 16 again, would you do this all over again?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I've got some wonderful children and they're very kind and they're very caring. And then I came back and I had a second chance. I met Adrian,
Yeah.
and he's always there for me.
Which is brilliant, isn't it? That you found happiness again. Thank you so much, Angela, for coming in. Good luck with your book signing and the book, and good luck for the future. Now, it's a few months since we visited Louth's Men's Shed, a project to combat social isolation in the town, which was originally founded in Australia. It's designed to allow usually older men to share skills, pursue hobbies and provide a sense of achievement while relaxing and sharing a good old-fashioned cuppa. Well, now they're popping up around the country, and Dan Kemp has been along to Hull to hear about how they're progressing to finally have a men's shed of their own.
The impending arrival of Hull's Men's Shed is an exciting one for the men of the city, but it also has some serious objectives. Barry Cooper is the chair of the project in Hull.
It's about making life better for men in Hull area who are potentially being unwell, unemployed, want to get back into work, volunteer, do some work for themselves.
Men will not join groups like women do to talk, just to go and meet. They will go work shoulder to shoulder with somebody and then they'll talk to people. And it gives them an opportunity to talk about themselves.
The lease is soon to be signed to allow the men to move into the new site in the city, but Barry says it'll need some refurbishing before it's ready. The group are also in need of volunteers to make sure they can hit the ground running.
The men's shed in Hull was set up by the trustees, I'm one of the trustees, for the local community to take ownership of that, so that although we're the trustees, we would like people to come along and volunteer to take, because we've got dual roles at the moment, we're chairman, secretary and so on, and also trustees.
It's hoped that different volunteers will offer different skills. Paul is one man getting involved.
I have 2 diplomas in IT, so I share my skills for people who are as advanced on computers, like you get your Silver Surfer clubs, like sort of thing like that. So people from just who don't know how to use it to be able to use emailing and Facebook and Twitter and everything else. So.
And it's about getting men in difficult social situations a way out and providing them with a focus.
It is important for men to have their own space because at the end of the day they need to get away from domestic situations. They may be themselves just come into a situation where a family or wife has passed over and they need to get away from the public house, the betting shop, the pizza delivery or what have you.
I think it's a good idea. It gets people out who can't get out. It's encouraging people from various ages to come and share the stories or help in various events it offers, really.
Joining me now for another daily look at what's been happening is Dan Kemp. Dan, I think you're starting off with football, aren't you?
Good evening.
I'm really surprised at.
In our area, it's probably more rugby league at the minute, actually.
Okay, then.
Excuse your ignorance. Yeah, this is the story that Adam Pearson, who is the current owner of Hull FC, the rugby league club in Hull, or one of the rugby league clubs in Hull, and former owner of Hull City from 2001 onwards. He's left Leeds United over the last 24 hours. He was on the board there.
Okay.
He'd only been there for about 3 months. He'd been there in the summer.
Why has he left?
Well, he's left the club citing he needs to work more and focus on his other business ventures, which includes Hull FC.
Okay.
So he's been the owner at Hull FC for a couple of years now, and obviously he's decided that he needs to put more time back into the rugby club when he's been, I suppose, distracted, you could say, away from it by his day-to-day career at Leeds United.
Fingers in many pies.
Yeah, he was at Leeds United until 2001 as well, and then he returned this summer.
Okay.
And in the meantime, was at Hull City and then Hull FC as well.
Okay, right. And moving on, UKIP in
yes,
Grimsby.
This is that Cleethorpes councillor has resigned. As he said, the UKIP is the party that he was formerly a member of now is on the precipice of self-destruction locally and nationally. So this is Matt Stinson, who was the Cleethorpes councillor for the United Kingdom Independence Party. He's now going to become an independent candidate for the remaining 2.5 years of his term.
Does he cite what the issues are locally then that he's saying there are problems with the party?
He's partly blamed the failure of the party in the Great Grimsby parliamentary elections back in May.
Okay.
And he's laid the blame squarely at the door of Victoria Ailing, who was the candidate when she finished third behind the Tories and, of course, the winners Labour. And he believed that the wrong candidate was selected. Okay,
right. And your next story, we're going environmentally friendly
are we? We're going carrier bags. This is from October the 5th. There's going to be some new rules in place. That from October the 5th, it'll be a 5 pence charge for each plastic bag.
But most shops charged? A lot of supermarkets already charge you for a bag.
I think it's something that's been introduced in the last couple of years. The kind
but everybody
the charge,
will do it.
But it's now going to become the rules.
But
so
if you, I tell you what, like most people I imagine in this country, the boot of my car is just full of these reusable bags. I can't get in it.
That's exactly how people have been recommended to keep away from it, keep them stocked in cupboards and cars and things like that. Apparently, if you knew this fact, 8 billion single-use carry bags are used each year in the UK.
Heck. I use them as
I can see where they're going with it. And in Scotland, where the 5p charge has already been imposed for a year, the fall has been 80% in the use of carry bags.
That's a lot, isn't it?
So I think that vindicates
it is. It's a
really.
Good thing, and sadly we've run out of time. So you're going to have to save spiders till tomorrow.
Spiders tomorrow. Lovely Friday treat.
Now it's time for the sport.
Hull City beat Cardiff City 2-0 at Cardiff City Stadium. On Saturday, Hull will play Queen's Park Rangers. Grimsby Town drew against Chester FC on Tuesday night. Both teams finished the 90 minutes with 1-1. Grimsby's next match is against Tranmere on Friday. In the Vanarama National League North yesterday, North Ferriby United drew against Harrogate Town with 3-3. Goals were scored twice by Liam King, with Danny Emerton scoring for the final time for the side in the 90th minute. The former Hull City owner and current Hull FC owner Adam Pearson has left his role at Leeds United. Pearson is eager to ensure the rugby club gets more attention, something he found difficult as executive director of Leeds United. Wigan Warriors player Talima Tautai has been handed a 3-match ban following their win against Hull FC. The offence was committed last Friday night and was a Grade D offence of a dangerous throw against Mickey Payer. We've hosted the Tour de France Grand Départ, the Tour of Yorkshire, and had the success of a medium-sized country at the Olympics. And now Yorkshire has been nominated to be England's home of sport. Over 2,000 venues nationwide are nominated in the search to establish our ultimate sporting capital. Visit England has compiled the final shortlist of 6, which includes Nottingham, Manchester and London. That's all from me for now, and I'll be back with more sports news soon. If you've got a sports story for us, then please email us on sport@estuary.tv or find us on Twitter or Facebook. Bye for now.
That's it for tonight. If you've a story, then visit our Facebook or Twitter pages or email news@estuary.tv or phone us on 01472 315 553. Until tomorrow, good night.
Estuary TV weather, sponsored by Grimsby Institute for a brighter future.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. Any mist and fog patches on Thursday will clear through the morning. Sunny spells though will develop with a few showers likely and maximum temperatures of 17 degrees. On Friday there'll be sunny spells and scattered showers.
Estuary TV weather, sponsored by Grimsby Institute for a brighter future.